Welcome to Blender add-on development for beginners. In this lesson, we will improve the add-on created in the previous lesson. We will see how we can add our operator to the object menu, make sure that it can only be executed when there is an active object, and we will add a property to the operator so the user can vary the amount that the object moves. Now that our add-on can register the MoveX operator, it behaves like any other Blender operator, and a user could choose to add it to their quick menu. This can be done by pressing F3 and search for the operator, then right-click on its name and we can add it to the quick menu. Now anytime we open the quick favorites menu by pressing Q, we see our operator in the list. This is nice, but we really want to add our operator to the object menu in the 3D view. So let's see how we can do that. Before we start enhancing the operator, let's enable a handy feature, Python tooltips. Go to the Edit Preferences and in the Display section we check Python tooltips. This will allow us to identify the internal names of menus when we hover over them, and we will see that in a moment. I have autosave enabled, but if you haven't, make sure to save your preferences. Now with the Python tooltips enabled, if we hover over the object menu, we can see its internal name, View 3D under empty under object. Let's make a note of that and get started. We start where we left off in the previous lesson, and we have loaded the Python code in the text editor. Note that we did rename the text block to MoveX menu.py to distinguish it from our earlier code, and we changed the version number. This is not strictly necessary, but it makes it clear we are working on a new enhanced version. To add something to a menu, we need to import its type, and here you can see why we made a note of the name of the object menu. We make use of this when we change the menu in a minute, but first we define a function that shows the operator. It is this function that we will add to the menu, and when it's called, it will receive a reference to the whole menu as the first argument. In the body, we get the layout attribute from the menu and call its operator method to add our operator. As you can see, we pass it the ID name, not its class. This function can now be added to the actual menu, and we do that in the register function. We do this after registering the operator class, and we use the type of the object menu we figured out earlier. Each menu type has an append method that can be used to add the new function we defined. The effect of all this is that after the append, the menu knows both how to display the new entry when we open the menu and how to execute our operator when clicked upon. Not bad for a few lines of code. We also need to remove the menu entry when our add-on is disabled or uninstalled, so we call the menu's remove method in the unregister function. Let's run the script to see if it all works. If we open the object menu, we see that we indeed have a new entry at the end. The name of that entry is the label we defined in our operator class. Let's add a cube to see if it really works. We select the menu entry. Even though it's a bit obscured by the menu itself, we can see that the cube moved to the right. Note that there is no easy way to remove the menu entry when you run the script from the editor directly, so for the next step we have to make sure we save our work and then restart Blender. Before we save the new version, let's first highlight something that is still missing in the add-on. When we remove the cube, there will be no active object, so when we select the menu entry to execute the operator, we get an error. This happens because our operator gets the active object from the context and assumes that there always is an active object. That's not ideal, and it's something that we should address. So let's save our work under its new name, and then close Blender to start with a clean slate, so without our registered operator. With Blender restarted, we open the file we saved. We then double check that there is no new menu entry present. Note that we have renamed the text block again and updated the version just so we can tell things apart. If a menu entry refers to an operator, it will use a class method called poll to see if it should be able to execute the operator. It is a class method because only after checking the operator is ready will there be an instance of this operator created. So it follows that this cannot be an instance method. If you're not too sure about this whole class method thing, don't worry. Just make a note that the poll method needs a class method decorator and it will work. You can always refer to some Python tutorial later. I'll leave some links in the description. The poll method itself is very simple and should return true if it's ready and false otherwise. It is passed the context as the second argument, and here we use it to check if we have an active object at all. And for good measure, we also check if we are in object mode. This last bit is a bit superfluous as there will be no object menu in edit mode, but better safe than sorry. Let's run our script again to register the operator and create a menu entry, and let's see if it works. We don't have any active object at the moment, and if we open the object menu, we can see the MoveX entry is inactive and shown grayed out. Now let's save this version under its new name and see what else we can do to improve our add-on. Up till now, our operator always moves the active object by a single unit, and that is quite restrictive. Let's see how we can change this by adding a property. We want to offer our user the option to enter fractional amounts, so we import the float property type first. Then we add a class variable amount, and we annotate it with a float property. This looks complicated perhaps, but this way Blender likes to define properties, and it allows us to have two things at the same time. Both a variable that can hold a value, and this variable can be used in our operator's method, just like any other Python variable. And at the same time, a description of this variable that defines how this property should be presented to the end user. So here our property is defined to have a visible name of amount, so with a capital A, that will be shown to the end user, and a proper description that will be visible when this property is hovered over, and a default that is used the first time this property is shown. We could define even more things like minimum and maximum values, etc., but we keep it simple for now. In the execute method itself, we can now replace the hard-coded single unit with a reference to the new variable. Do note that the amount is a class variable, and that is for good reasons. Every time a menu is clicked, for example, a new instance of our operator is created, and then its execute method is called. By having properties as a class value, it's easy to provide a default the first time this operator is executed, and to remember this value when the user changes it and executes the operator a second time. Again, if you are not completely comfortable with Python yet, that's okay. Just accept this as a Blender specific practice and just remember to use it for any properties you define. Let's see how this works. We run the script to register everything and go to the 3D view. Here we choose the menu entry and we see the familiar pop-up in the lower left corner. If we change the value of amount, the cube moves accordingly. If we select the menu entry again, we see that the last value we used was remembered. So in this lesson we saw how we could add an operator to a menu and how to write a poll method to disable it when it doesn't make sense to execute the operator. And we learned how to add a property to an operator that is shown to the end user when the operator is executed from a menu. The final video in this module is an optional video where we will have a look at whether it's useful to use an external editor or an integrated development environment even, instead of Blender's internal editor. In the next module in this series, we will show in several videos how to create a more useful add-on, one that features an operator that adds a custom mesh object to the scene. Hope to see you there, and thank you for watching this one.